After braving the elements and spending evenings in icy hotels, I was starting to feel more at home above the Arctic Circle. And it seemed that my adventures with reindeer weren't over yet.
Now, with all these guys around, I'm kind of surprised that Santa Claus hasn't put in an appearance. But this is, in fact, the highlight of Murmansk's Northern Olympics. And I'm going to see what it takes to be a reindeer rider.
These races are the highlight of the games, and the Sami riders tear round the track at blistering speeds. Once the competition is over, anyone can have a go.
The thing is about these races is most of these reindeer are still quite wild. So trying to tell them what to do is easier said than done. So we got the two of them hooked up. Ready for some sleigh rides. It's a childhood fantasy, brilliant. Right, so our reindeers are ready. Am I ready? This is the big question. No. These two little lads, they seem to know what they're doing. I'm not sure I do.
I just had to hold on tight.
Away! Woohoo! Oh my God, this is seriously awesome. I mean, seriously awesome. On Donner, on Blitzen, on Prancer. Who needs Santa?
One short but exhilarating ride later, I walked to the nearby river to get my breath back. I was still dreaming of sailing on the Barents Sea, but I knew there was still plenty more to do before I felt comfortable heading out onto Murmansk's frigid waters. But there is a place in the city where the locals have a pretty high tolerance for an icy dip.
Now, as well as being a place that entertains visitors, the Oceanarium also doubles as a research centre. And today, I'm going to take part in one or two little experiments with the residents.
It was time for the grand entrance of Dick, our fantastically facial-haired Greenland seal.
It's really interesting because they've trained them to respond to certain different frequencies of sounds. And of course, they can do that from as far away as they like. So underwater, sitting on the stage, and if they do it right, then they get a fish.
Sasha, now it's 300.
Seals have incredibly sensitive hearing, and the trainers here are looking to find out exactly what sounds they can tell apart.
So they've not quite got it down. It's still in the learning process. Still flapping his arm. Flapping his flipper.
It may still be a work in progress, but they're having some excellent results.
We want to find out how sharp a seal's hearing is. Greenland seals can distinguish sounds with a little difference, as little as 20 Hz between them. A human's hearing lies outside of the 200 Hz limit. Seals have very sensitive hearing.
And the trainers hope that, given time, the work they're doing will both benefit science and perk up their performances.
So there are some really interesting behavioural studies going on in this oceanarium. And it just goes to show that, at least in the case of Dick here, you can teach an old seal new tricks. Isn't that right, old boy, eh? Can you do this one? Dick, voodoo.
I left Dick to take a well-earned rest, and I went off to explore some more of the city. Murmansk is one of the youngest regional capitals in Russia. It was founded in 1916, and it's the largest city in the world north of the Arctic Circle. and its most impressive monument is at its highest point.
It's safe to say that Murmansk is one tough city. During World War II, it was a vital supply port for the Soviet Union and the Allies. And in fact, the Germans wanted to cut it off so badly that they dropped more bombs here than anywhere else apart from Stalingrad. And just like the Rodina Mat monument in Stalingrad, the locals have built their own enormous tribute to the defenders here, and they've nicknamed him Alyosha.
With fantastic views of the city, it seemed like the perfect place to begin my Murmansk experience. And luckily, I had someone to put me on the right track.
With Murmansk, the port came first, followed by a nearby settlement accommodating the port workers. It's ice-free, but sometimes it does get frozen over because of fresh water from the local rivers. The Gulf Stream prevents it from freezing over. It is this current that enables Europe to survive. Without it, the European continent would freeze.
Murmansk is also home to Russia's nuclear icebreaker fleet, and mementos of the city's nautical past are easy to find.
So this is a monument to the icebreaker Yermak, which was the very first polar icebreaker in the world and becoming one of the longest lived icebreakers ever in history. And that is its original anchor.
We finally made it to the city docks, and a place which has particularly fond memories for Vyacheslav.
In 1994, the boat we had built sailed out from here. The women were sobbing as we left port. Many of them felt they would never see us again. The weather was fine that day. We were wearing shorts. Those 2 days before we entered the Arctic were great, and then the temperatures dropped. I treasure memories of that voyage, not just because I built the boat.
Vyacheslav was forced to leave his boat in the Arctic, but he and his crew made it back safely. It was an inspiring story, and I felt I was finally ready to take to the water.
So this is what it's all been leading up to, my final test in Murmansk, and I'm coming aboard the Katerina here to see if I can master some Arctic seamanship.
Hello, Captain Valery. How are you?
Hello!
So what do I need to do to be a real Arctic sailor?
I'll show you.
Great, thank you very much.
And we've set sail.
And immediately, I was set to work on the deck.
The fun of being on deck, but obviously you can't have great big lengths of rope just lying around in the way. And the tidy ship is a safe ship.
We couldn't have picked better conditions to head out in, but you always have to be on your toes out here.
Right now the weather is calm with lots of sunshine, but it may change at any moment. The northern seas are known for their magnificence. The water appears to be black now, but it will turn yellow when it's stormy. Our yacht is well equipped to face icy conditions.
And apparently it's a certain type of person that wants to explore these waters.
People sailing through the Arctic are adventurous by nature, but of course there are some tiny risks. One of them is the fact that the temperature of the water is always +4 degrees. If you spend more than 15 minutes in there, you should probably call your wife to say goodbye.
As Valery had warned, the temperature dropped quickly, and we moved into the cabin to take a look at the instruments.
Now we're heading almost directly north, 0 degrees the compass is pointing at, and my current job is to make sure that we just don't crash into the port, but fortunately it's a reasonable distance over there.
And in case the weather's too foul, there is the latest technology to rely on.
We're going to crash into that lump at that rate, so we have to avoid that a little way down the line, but hopefully we won't get too close.
It was going to take us nearly 2 days to get into Arctic waters. It looked like I wasn't going to be seeing an iceberg on this trip, but then Valery said he had one extremely chilly final challenge for me.
He wants me to go in there. Apparently this is what real Arctic explorers have to do.
At least I was being given a survival suit. It's capable of keeping you alive in the water for a couple of hours, if you can get it on in time.
I need a little bit of help with this. 5 minutes.
But finally, I was ready to take the plunge.
The last big test. I'm going to have to do this very quickly before I change my mind. Okay. Shut up.
Cadet, get off the boat.
Even with the suit on, it's not exactly a pleasant experience, and I couldn't wait to get back on board.
And now, James, we can consider you a real sailor. And a true sailor should wear a real uniform.
I've earned my stripes. At last. And I tell you what, it's much better being on the Barents Sea than being in it. Well, I certainly have put myself through the ringer a bit up here, but my Arctic expedition is going to have to wait. Although the locals do say that if you flip a coin into the water here, you will come back. So, who knows? Today, Murmansk. Tomorrow, the pole.